Hey, it's Wednesday. I always imagine that as a professor, I'd have like a wing back chair with just like a very solemn, slow turnaround that I could do, and instead I just have like an old man, unbelievably orthopedic chair with like a heating pad for my bad back. It's rich. It's You don't get the life you thought you'd have, especially not in pandemic world. We're talking this week about loneliness, like I hope last, socially stigmatizing thing to admit, really, that it feels like when we say that we're lonely, it sometimes feels a lot like admitting that we're like unpopular, or that there's a reason why we're by ourselves. And this is like a season of prolonged loneliness for most of us, in which we are not able to choose the connections that often sustain us. And we kind of think of it like if we're like held up by a web, now there's just like fewer and fewer things that like keep us from falling through. So you need like strong ties, right? But most of us have a lot of weak ties. We have like, people we know on Instagram, or like a friend, but you don't always ask them to like get you food if you need it, or like a lot of people that we love, but we might not ask for help from. And like now is a really tough time to have too many weak ties. So, so this week we're going to be talking a lot about loneliness, how we live inside of it, what we do about it. Is it normal? The answer right now to, is it okay that I feel lonely? The answer is yes. It is lonely. It's like a super lonely time. And you can be lonely if you're in the middle of a screaming house. Like there's so many ways in which our like deepest needs are sometimes even more obvious to us when there's like 1,000 people around. So the question for today is, do you feel like it's acceptable for you to admit that you're lonely when you are? I think it's great for other people, but every time I feel a bit stupid. But I have been like lonely a lot as an adult. And like some of it is a result of transitions, right? Where you like move from one place, or you move situations. You can be lonely right after you have a kid, or lonely if you're getting a divorce, or lonely if you're not partnered and you just like didn't expect for this pandemic to take so much away. Lonely in tragedy, lonely in caregiving, lonely in a profession that takes too much, too often. So I don't mean to be super depressing, but like this is like a good time to admit that we have lots of words now to account for the fact that we've often felt this way, like FOMO, fear of missing out, etc., etc. But like change usually begins with honesty. And so like today is Loneliness Honesty Day, in which we say, if we are, I'm lonely more often than I wish I were. And that like right now I'm thinking a lot about like what it takes to reach beyond this feeling. So that's what we'll talk about for the rest of the week. But in the meantime, if you are lonely, it is because the world has conspired to make it so. And that most of the thinning social structures around us mean that there has not been enough to sustain the things that make us feel seen and met and loved. So if you are lonely, bless you. You may feel lonely, but you are not alone. Okay, much love to you on this beautiful, rainy, terrible Wednesday.